The signal no one answered. The outpost drifted alone at the edge of the galaxy, and the blackness of space seemed to press against every window. Inside, the hum of machinery was the only sound that broke the silence. Commander Rian Haley stood on the command deck, his hands resting lightly on the console, his eyes scanning the empty void. He had seen the galaxy many times before, but never like this. So quiet, so empty. The alarms had stopped only minutes ago, but the tension in the air did not. Technicians moved quickly through the halls, checking systems, watching screens, whispering to each other in low voices. Every monitor blinked with the same message: alien ships detected, approaching fast. The crew had already sent dozens of distress signals, but none had returned. Rian's voice was calm when he spoke to his officers. "Check every channel again," he said, "and keep the shields ready." A young communications officer swallowed hard and nodded, fingers trembling as she sent another pulse into the dark. But the void answered with silence. "Nothing," she said finally, her voice breaking slightly. "Still nothing," repeated another, staring at the scanner like it could suddenly show a miracle. The alien ships circled the outpost slowly, patient and confident. Their shapes were strange, dark, and sharp, unlike anything the crew had ever fought. Fear began to creep into the minds of even the strongest soldiers. Some whispered that they were abandoned, left to die at the edge of space. Others refused to believe it, clinging to hope as if it were a lifeline. But even hope felt thin in the cold corridors of the station. Rian walked slowly among his crew, looking into each tired face. He saw worry, fear, and doubt. Yet in his own heart, he felt something stronger, a small fire that refused to go out. No one else could see it, but he knew that humanity had not given up yet. The alien ships made no move to attack, only observing. It was as if they knew humans would panic before the first shot was fired. Rian thought about what he had learned in his years of service. He knew that fear was dangerous, but courage could change everything. He returned to the command deck and looked at the main screen. Every reading, every blip, every signal was cold and empty. He touched the console, sending another signal, this time with a small prayer in his heart. "Answer us," he whispered, though no one could hear. The crew worked tirelessly, checking engines, weapons, and sensors. Some wrote final messages to their families, thinking these might be the last words they ever sent. Others prepared the outpost defenses, loading weapons and recalculating shield patterns. The walls shook slightly as the station's engines powered up in readiness. Outside, the alien fleet continued its slow orbit, massive shapes moving with terrifying precision. Rian watched, his eyes sharp, heart steady. He had faced impossible odds before, but never like this, where the universe itself seemed to ignore their cries. Yet still, he refused to bow to fear. For hours, the outpost remained in tense silence, every crew member listening to the void, hoping for a single signal, a single answer. The stars outside twinkled, indifferent, cold, and distant. But Rian did not give up, not now, not ever. Then, deep in the black beyond the scanners, a faint shadow moved. At first, no one noticed it, thinking it was a glitch or a reflection, but Rian's trained eyes caught it, a tiny flicker of movement. In the endless darkness, something was coming, but what? No one could know yet. He straightened, his hand hovering over the console. "Stay ready," he said calmly, though his voice carried a note of excitement. The crew looked up, a spark of hope flickering in their eyes. Even in the deepest void, something was stirring, something that might change everything. And in that moment, the outpost waited, tense and silent, for the first time. The crew wondered if the silence of space was about to end. The void watched them. The alien ships drifted just beyond the outpost's sensors. Silent and patient, they moved like predators, circling a trapped prey, slow and deliberate. Each ship was massive, dark and angular, its hull glinting faintly under distant stars. From the command deck, the crew could see them, and fear tightened like a fist around their hearts. Rian Haley did not flinch, though he could feel the tension. He walked among his crew, speaking softly to the soldiers, technicians, and officers. "Watch the scanners, stay calm, and trust your training," he said. Some nodded, others muttered under their breath. But all eyes remained on the dark shapes outside. The youngest technician, a boy named Leto, pressed his face to the viewport. He whispered to no one in particular, "Are we really alone out here?" The answer, he felt, was yes, but Rian would not let that fear rule them. The commander placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and said nothing, but the gesture alone gave him strength. Inside the station, the crew worked tirelessly. Communications officers sent pulse after pulse into the void. Weapons crews ran drills, loading cannons and checking missiles. Engineers monitored shields and power levels, making adjustments with silent precision. Every movement was tense, every heartbeat loud in the still air. Hours passed, and still no signal came from human space. The galaxy seemed to have forgotten them, leaving the outpost to face the alien fleet alone. Some soldiers whispered that rescue would never come. Others refused to listen, their minds clinging to hope like a life raft in an endless storm. Rian returned to the command deck. Staring at the blank screens, he tapped to control, bringing up long-range sensors. Nothing moved beyond the alien ships, except distant stars and drifting debris. Yet in that emptiness, a subtle shift caught his attention. A tiny flicker, barely visible, deep in the void. He called over his second-in-command, Commander Vera. "Do you see that?" he asked, pointing at the screen. Vera leaned in, eyes narrowing. "It's nothing," she said at first, but as the flicker grew slightly brighter, her tone changed. "No, that's moving. It's coming this way." The crew gathered around, watching the screen, holding their breath. No one spoke, but the tension was electric. The alien fleet sensed it too, their formation shifting slightly, their movements more cautious. For the first time, the predators hesitated, and Rian felt a small thrill of hope. Leto pressed closer to the viewport again, staring into the blackness. "It's a ship," he said softly, almost afraid to finish the sentence. Rian nodded. "Yes, but whose ship? Friend or enemy?" The question hung in the air, unanswered, but it filled the crew with anticipation. They waited, hearts pounding, watching the void, knowing everything could change in an instant. The alien ships remained silent, watching the outpost as well. They seemed to sense the flicker too, though they could not know what it was. The void itself had eyes now, and every movement mattered. Rian tapped his console, preparing weapons, shields, and engines. Even if the mysterious object was friendly, he could not take chances. Minutes felt like hours as the flicker grew, shaping into something real. A massive hull appeared, faintly glowing under the stars. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if the void itself guided it. The crew gasped. Some clutched railings, others whispered prayers they did not believe in. Rian's eyes narrowed. "Hold your positions," he said calmly, though his heart raced. Whatever this ship was, it was enormous, powerful, and alive. It had waited in the void for something. Perhaps for them, perhaps for the perfect moment. And now, the quiet of space was broken. The outpost and its crew realized that they were no longer entirely alone. Something had come from the darkness, watching, waiting, and moving toward them. Rian turned to his crew, his voice firm. "Stay, ready? Remember who we are," he said. "Humans do not give up. Humans do not surrender." The flicker in the void was closer now, larger, undeniable. And for the first time in many hours, hope shone brighter than fear. The last stand begins. The alien fleet had grown impatient. They no longer circled the outpost. Instead, they moved into attack positions, silent and deadly. Rian Harley stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the approaching ships. He could feel the tension ripple through the station, every crew member waiting for the inevitable. "Shields up, weapons ready," Rian ordered. The crew obeyed without hesitation, their training guiding them through fear. Missiles hummed in their launch bays, lasers calibrated, and energy shields glowed faintly along the hull. Every system was prepared for a fight that might be their last. Outside, the alien ships shifted, dark silhouettes against distant stars. Rian's scanners showed dozens of vessels, larger and more advanced than anything the outpost could face. The young technician swallowed hard, whispering to himself, "Are we even going to survive this?" Rian walked past him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Survival is not the point," he said quietly. "We fight because we are human." The first shot came without warning, a beam of light striking the shields. The station shuddered under the force, alarms blaring as the energy rippled through the hull. Crew members scrambled to maintain control, red lights flashing as systems strained. The alien ships attacked in unison. Confident in their power and precision, Rian did not falter. He gave clear orders, coordinating every weapon and shield. Fire when ready. Target their lead ship. Keep formation. Cannons erupted, beams of light cutting through the void toward the enemy. Explosions bloomed in space as alien hulls burned. The outpost could not match the fleet's size or firepower. Each moment was a struggle to survive, yet the crew's courage was stronger than their fear. Every human hand worked together, every mind focused, every heart determined. They were small, yes, but they refused to vanish quietly into the void. Minutes dragged as the battle raged. The outpost shook violently from near misses, and debris floated inside corridors. Some soldiers were injured, some panels shattered, but still, no one surrendered. No one ran. Every human was holding their ground, facing what seemed impossible. And then, deep in the darkness beyond the scanners, the flicker returned. At first, it was tiny, almost lost among the stars, but it grew larger, moving faster, with a certainty that no one could mistake. Rian's eyes narrowed, his breath quickened. Hold steady, watch closely, he said. What comes next may change everything. The alien fleet noticed it too, their ships shifting, confusion in their movements. They had expected a weak outpost, an easy victory, but now a new variable had entered. The battlefield, something powerful, something unexpected. On the bridge, technicians pointed and whispered, "It's huge. It's a ship, and it's coming right for us." Rian nodded, but his voice was steady, even calm. "Prepare to meet it. Whoever it is, we will not falter." The outpost crew straightened, determination replacing fear. They had already fought the impossible and survived. Now, they waited for whatever rose from the void. Outside, the shadows in space shifted again. The unknown ship grew closer, immense and silent. Its shape became clear. Massive hull plates and strange markings reflecting faint starlight. The alien ships hesitated, scanning it with caution. This was not part of their plan, not part of their expectation. Rian felt a strange excitement building in his chest. Even in the midst of fear and chaos, he sensed the tide of battle was about to change. The outpost had survived the first strike, and now, the unknown vessel from the void approached like a ghost returning from history. A chance, a hope, a warning. The crew tightened their grips, eyes wide, hearts racing. The human spirit held firm. Even in the darkest moments, they had faced death, and they had not broken. Now, they would see what had come for them, something that might turn the battle in ways no one could imagine. And in the command deck, Rian whispered, almost to himself, "Stay ready. We fight, no matter what comes." Humans do not run the dreadnoughts. Massive engines glowed faintly as it moved into battle formation. Its presence alone sent a ripple of panic through the alien fleet. The outpost crew watched in awe, hearts pounding with a mix of fear and hope. For the first time, they felt a shift, a change in the tide of battle. Rian Haley stood on the command deck, eyes locked on the approaching ships. "Hold your positions," he ordered, voice strong and unwavering. The crew obeyed instantly, renewed courage burning in their chests. They had survived impossible odds before, and now, humans were not alone. The first wave of alien fire came like a storm. Lasers and missiles struck the dreadnought, shaking the outpost's shields. But the massive human warship absorbed the attacks, its armor plates groaning, its energy fields flaring. Then, with devastating precision, its cannons fired, cutting through enemy ships like fire through paper. Explosions bloomed in the void, lighting up the darkness with brilliant flashes. Alien ships shattered one by one, spinning away in flames. The outpost crew cheered quietly, unable to believe the strength they were witnessing. Even the oldest soldiers whispered in disbelief, "Humans fight back." Rian's voice carried through the command deck, calm but full of command. "Focus on defense. Protect the outpost. We are humans. We do not run." The crew tightened their grips on consoles and railings. They aimed every weapon, calculated every shot, and followed every order. Their fear was replaced with determination, their despair replaced with courage. The alien fleet, confident just minutes ago, faltered under the unexpected assault. Their formations broke apart. Communication signals scrambled. The dreadnought's cannons and the outpost's defenses worked in perfect coordination. The aliens had not expected humans to fight with such relentless precision. Every ship that fired at them met destruction. Every strike from humans carried purpose, strategy, and unwavering resolve. Later, when the other technicians could barely keep up with the energy readings, the dreadnought's power systems pulsed with life. Its shields flared with every impact, and slowly, methodically, it pushed the enemy back. The void seemed to tremble under the soundless roar of humanity. Rian walked among the crew briefly, observing, nodding. "No one surrenders here," he said, voice low but firm. "Humans stand, humans fight, humans rise when all hope seems lost." The crew repeated the mantra quietly, silently, each human heart beating in time with the dreadnought. The outpost, and the battle itself, outside. The alien fleet regrouped, trying to retreat, but it was too late. The humans had seized control of the fight. Every strike, every movement, every cannon shot reminded them that humans were not to be underestimated. The dreadnought moved like a guardian, protecting the outpost. It destroyed enemy ships, cleared paths, and shattered fear with every calculated strike. The outpost's crew watched as the alien ships fled. Panic spread among the enemy ranks for the first time. Rian felt a deep pride, not just in the warship, but in the people around him. Humans had stood against impossible odds and refused to run. The dreadnought hovered now near the outpost, silent again, its cannons lowered, its engines glowing faintly. The crew took a moment to breathe, to feel. They had survived. The aliens had learned a lesson in the void. Humans do not run. Rayon looked at the screens, at the fading enemy ships, at the warship that had come from the darkness. "This is what it means to be human," he whispered. "To fight, to survive, to rise." And in that quiet moment, the outpost realized that the war was far from over. But with humans together, hope burned brighter than fear. A message to the stars. The alien fleet broke apart under the relentless assault. Ships scattered into the darkness, retreating faster than anyone thought possible. The void returned to silence, broken only by the hum of the outpost's systems. Rian Harley stood on the command deck, chest heaving, eyes scanning the last traces of the fleeing enemy. Around him, the crew exhaled for the first time in hours. Some leaned against consoles, exhausted. Some stared out at the endless void, amazed and relieved. They had survived the impossible, and they had done so together. The dreadnought hovered near the outpost, massive and silent, its engines pulsing faintly. Still alive after the fierce battle, Rian felt a swell of pride and awe. This ship, once lost to time, had returned when humanity needed it most, and it had carried hope with it from the void. A signal came through the comms, steady and calm. A voice spoke from the dreadnought bridge, deep and commanding. "Outpost, you are safe," the voice said, "for no rescue was coming, so we became the rescue." The words resonated through the outpost. They were simple, yet powerful. Every human aboard felt it. The reminder that even in the darkest void, humans rise when all seems lost. They fight, they survive, they protect one another. Rian looked at his crew, proud beyond words. "This is why humans endure," he said quietly. "We are never truly alone when we stand together." The crew nodded, tears glimmering in their eyes. Even the youngest, Leto, felt a courage he had never known. The dreadnought had not only saved them but reminded them who they were. The alien ships had vanished. The void was still, as if space itself had paused to witness the victory. Rian tapped the console, sending one last message into the empty stars, a message of warning, of strength, of humanity. "Never count us out," he said into the silence. "Humans rise, humans fight, humans endure." Outside, the dreadnought glided slowly away, its massive silhouette disappearing into the darkness from which it had come. But its presence left a mark, a message to every watcher in the void, a promise that humanity would return, stronger than ever. The outpost crew watched until it vanished completely, and then, in the quiet aftermath, it began to repair, to rebuild, to prepare. They had faced death, survived, and learned the truth of their own strength. Rian turned to the crew, voice firm but gentle. "We are human," he said, "and we do not run." The words echoed through the station, through every corridor, through every heart, and far out in the endless galaxy. Among the stars and the darkness, the human spirits shone brighter than any weapon, any ship, any alien fleet. For humanity had proven, once again, that when hope seems lost, when the void watches silently, when the world believes all is over, humans rise, humans fight, and humans endure. The outpost would live, The dreadnought would return when needed, and the stars themselves would remember the lesson. That no force in the galaxy could erase humanity's courage, for humans do not run.